Do the values of each of the parents have to be the same to raise their children? Similarly, do the values of the extended families like grandparents have to be the same as the parents, especially if the kids will see their grandparents, aunts, uncles often? What are the important values to cultivate in our children growing up in the Western world? For example, my brother and sister do not live in India, they live in different parts of the world. So, how can they help their kids?
See, culture in general is when people live popularly, or the majority of people live a particular lifestyle. This is called as culture by people. Really speaking, the word culture is that which enhances you, transforms you, makes you shine. Therefore, in Sanskrit, the word is samskara, which means that which purifies you and that which beautifies you, that which makes you better. That is called as samskara, right? Values that you speak of, right? And Samskriti, what you call as culture, is a life lived with positive values. That is called as Sanskriti or culture. So, whenever we are using these words, especially from parents, it's mixed up in both these things, and therefore the conflict. That's why even when I meet children and they say, or especially teenagers, that they say that, oh, we've been brought up in different cultures, and the foundation for teenage has to be given in this age of 5 and 10, where they understand what is culture and what is a lifestyle. So, lifestyles might change, but the basis of culture are certain basic values, which is common even in a materialistic lifestyle and beneficial, which is also in a spiritual lifestyle. Those foundation values must be common, and generally they are common. It's just the understanding of people, just as we said about compassion and weakness. People think that in the business world you have to be aggressive. In the business world you have to be selfish. You have to be competitive. Now, competitive is a good word, but again misplaced. Generally, being greedy, being envious is being competitive. So, people might be having the same values, but it's misunderstood as well as it is misappropriately placed in life. So, a mother might want, say, the child to be calm, peaceful, kind, etc. And the father, who is naturally a person who wants them to get into, say, business or the professional world, may want the child, not only will have his own values, that you should be honest, you should be you must have integrity, but listen, you have to be aggressive, and greed is good, that you must have ambition, so have more and more, and maybe propagating greed in the name of ambition, while the mother sees it and feels that the father is giving a different value. But understand, the father is trying to, in his mind, make the child ambitious. maybe together you work it out so that you use the right terminologies and right understandings. And that is what, again, the parents should have between themselves. Therefore, one of the most important aspects of parenting is the understanding, the love, and in that love, that unity, communication, and acceptance should be there. At the same time, we must understand that whether it is grandparents, whether it is father or mother, they being well-wishers, I mean, sometimes there is these family hatreds and certain things may be said, but being well-wishers, they are trying to give the best that they can. Very often the disagreement is about certain ideologies each one has in their own mind, where it can be communicated. Now, I know also many places where the daughter does not want her child to go to her own mother's house, leave alone mother-in-law's house, no? Because, oh, they're going to spoil my child, and I discipline my child. Please also understand one thing very important in relationships. Grandparents are not spoiling their children. They're having a different relationship with their children. Very often we hear this conversation, and maybe we have also said it ourselves, that our parents were so strict with us, not that they were very strict, but with their grandchildren, look at how they are. But that's the relationship our grandparents had with us. So a grandparent and a grandchild relationship is very different. Mother will probably say, you're not going to eat this, you're not going to eat that. Maybe, say for example, fast food. It's the other way around these days, I know. But say mother says, I don't want to give you fast food. But when they go to the grandparents' house, occasionally a grandparent might give them, say, an ice cream or take them out for a pizza. And the child feels very thrilled. It's a way bonding with the grandparents, where besides making this kind of a, as you might say, a compromise from your, values, the child bonds with the grandparents to take many other better values. So understand it is different. Also understand that the way a father looks at bringing up the children and a mother looks at bringing up the children, and both are needed. Both are very much needed. We find a beautiful example also, in the Ramayana, where the Guru Vashishta puts even the princes in such strict discipline, and his wife now and then during break hours brings for them some sweets or desserts to eat. The father, like Guru, gets angry with her that you're breaking my discipline. And she says that you look after teaching them and disciplining them. I will look after what they need at that time. And that is my responsibility. No? So there also you can understand that where the father is coming from, where the mother is coming from. The motherliness gives them that gentleness, that kindness, that forgiveness, the flexibility, and therefore the creativity. While the father, of course, it can be other way around. Mother will be very disciplinarian because in the house she has to discipline, and the father comes during the weekend and takes them out for fast food, etc. It may happen, but understand what is the intention behind it. and allow certain things unless they are morally, ethically wrong.
Wow, that is so pertinent as a point of view. I actually never saw it that way. Thank you so much. So, as a mother, I am a working woman, and this is something that I have in my head all the time. How do you balance work and time with the children?
See, it is understandable that when parents are both working professionally these days, that neither one of them can give full time to the children. And these days, because of the way our schooling system is, etc., it's not that the parent has to be with the child all the time. But all said and done, parenting is also your responsibility as much as your career is your responsibility. And one has to themselves strike a balance and not be carried away in excessiveness, because there are sometimes days or even weeks where you can get very involved professionally and you're not available for the children. The other spouse could at that time maybe give more time, unless both of them are so occupied during that day or that week. That way you can create a balance. At the same time, this should not become a habit, because time lost with the children is a certain growth lost of the children. And of course, your sweet memories. So, see that we create a good balance, and you may not be giving all full time like earlier parents may have been able to give because of the systems that were there. Today's systems have been changed. Children also learn to accept. Children also respect these days that, their parents are working so hard to provide for them, including both parents. They do respect all that. So they do understand that you will not be available for them, continuously. But they should always feel that even if you are at work, your mind, which is generally, is on them, and you will, for them, when they need you, you will give up anything for them. If they have that feeling, they will not mind that you were not there the number of hours. So they should never feel neglected or less important in your life. And if you can create that balance and that rapport with your children, it will be easily managed, because there are times that you may not have in a day or in a week or even sometimes a month, or even in certain periods of time where your career probably takes you away from home, even the father or the mother.
Swamiji, with striking the balance, do you have any tips?
See, this is a very important thing, that just like a working parent cannot give quantity time, but it is more important the quality time. That whenever you are with your children in the day, or say during those periods where you can spend more time with them, say on weekends or holidays, it is the quality time that you spend with them, doing things with them which they would enjoy doing with you, by which they will bond with you, such as helping them not only with their homework, one parent can do that, or playing certain games with them, hobbies, going out with them, even just simple conversations with them where you allow them to tell you or talk to you, and you can share with them your experiences. There's so much you can do, even sometimes when you're away. Just a letter in which it makes you feel that my cares. Not just flooding them with gifts. Very often people do that, to compensate for time. Rather, that whatever time you have with the children, give them quality time. Give them something that they will enjoy your company. Give them that time where they will learn in your company and in which you will learn from them also. So have some fun time with them.
Swamiji, we all make mistakes while parenting. So how do we deal with these with regards to the child? And how do we deal with the guilt, the parenting guilt or the mom guilt that we go through?
See, all these emotions, and particularly guilt, are there with us for a reason. If you didn't have guilt, you would be diabolic. You would never correct yourself. Right? But as parents, very often you all harbor certain unbased guilts. You must be very careful with that. Certain guilts, yes, a person should have. But when I say unbased guilts, don't be too hard upon yourself as parents. You are also learning and growing as a parent. You will also make mistakes. Therefore, it is very important, and that's how it used to be in cultural societies, where you had support from grandparents of your children, means your parents, in-laws, other family members who could correct you when you were making a mistake or could guide you. Because rarely do you make a mistake deliberately. That's why you call it a mistake. There are times also in anger or utter selfishness that you do something wrong. So, guilt will be there for those, and very important is that if today you have done something wrong and that is the day itself, your child should be told that, I'm sorry, I should not have said this like this. Just correct it there. If the child points out your mistake and says, but you do it, admit it that it is wrong. Don't deny it is right. And then you will have the opportunity to say that even though I do it, my child, see you don't like it. See that you don't do it so that others don't like it. I'm struggling with it myself. Like that, if you explain to them, they will not hold it against you. So that is in the day. But now if something has happened, say 15 years ago, like anything in life, correct what you can correct, and what has gone wrong, bear it gracefully. Like suppose you made your child into an aggressive child. Suppose you made it, you made that mistake. Or a child who is bitter, say with, any of your relatives, and that bitterness now has come even towards you or to life itself. Correct what you can correct, what you cannot correct, rather than feeling guilty, gracefully bear it. You will be able to correct it as you move on. Second is that a mistake has happened. Don't repeat that mistake with other children or grandchildren. Bear it, but at the same time, forgive yourself. Because what we are guilty about, it gives our mind a very peculiar consolation that at least I am guilty. But what you are guilty about, you keep on repeating in your mind, and unknowingly you keep on repeating that same wrongdoing. It is not a mistake anymore. Therefore, learn to forgive yourself also for your mistake. When I say forgive, It does not justify that what you did was right, but do not keep on holding on to it. Bear the consequences, forgive your past, and rebuild your future.
Wow, Swamiji, that puts a lot of things in perspective for me. You know, as a mother, I really am very harsh with myself at times, and I really put myself through a lot of mom guilt. And I'm sure a lot of other mothers do the same. How can we, model our children being forgiving of themselves and being kind to themselves when we ourselves are not easy and don't forgive ourselves that easily?
And this I'm telling all mothers. Please do not be harsh upon yourself so much. Correct yourself, there's no doubt. Correct yourself. Don't justify. When you justify or you are harsh on yourself, you will keep on repeating it for you to be guilty and miserable. And remember, and especially mothers, of course it applies to fathers also who go through this guilt, but very often they don't express it openly. And they have their own ways of coping and maybe even denying it. But mothers particularly, emotionally you have to take a lot, and you've been taking a lot, right? So stop taking this nonsense from yourself. Yeah? Stop being so harsh with yourself. Because remember, it is you who are the happiness of the family. And if you make yourself miserable for whatever reason, even for the wrong that you may have done, remember, it is not only you who will be affected, your entire family for which you are feeling guilty will be also miserable. So, get on with life. Family life is all about loving, forgiving, and building a better future. So stop being so harsh upon yourself, and at the same time, do not justify it. Correct and be kind with yourself and with the family members also. And parents, you are the evidence of the existence of the all-loving Creator, Father, Mother of the universe. And the quality of the Creator, the Sustainer, the Protector is there inborn in you, which is the power of God in you. And in fact, if there is any evidence of God, even to prove logically, it is only through our parents and what we see in our parents. Because children, for them, parents are their creator, their sustainer, their protector. You are their gods. You remember that always. And you have that power of God in you. And God is love and forgiveness. And if God forgives you and allows you to carry on as a parent, then you also, God-like, must learn to forgive. Forgive not only your children, your relatives, your spouses, but learn to forgive yourself also.
Oh my God, Swamiji, thank you so much for that. That's been on my mind forever. Here's another question that a lot of parents have, especially right now. What do you think about screen time? How do we deal with technology technology and social media with children? Should we even allow social media or screen time? What ages should these things be introduced, and how can we best support our children? For example, there are cousins who want to chat with the kids, and of course, there's a cousin on Instagram. So, how to deal with that?
See, here there is no clear cut answer, let me be honest with you. Because today, and even before, earlier it was movies, then it was television, then it was telephones, and then it was telephones and television, and now of course we have everything in one small gadget, and we can remain connected with the world, we can remain connected with the friends, with the news, appropriate for us, not appropriate for us. Everything is now available on that one little surface. So, first of all, important is what discipline do the parents themselves follow? See, I remember many years ago, the parents used to watch television for so many hours. The only thing they did when they came back home, they would watch television and then tell the children that you shouldn't watch so much television, but do your homework. The children are not going to listen. So if they see the parents following a certain discipline, a certain value, they will also, to some extent, I won't say that they will immediately, because their age, their peers, their, comfortability with technology, which is now, is far more compatible, the compatibility with the technology than the older generation. So, they will definitely be much more than what their parents are. Even though the parents might be a certain discipline in themselves, children will be a little bit more than that. You have to know what are the trends. And in any field, you cannot be overprotective. You must train your children to make their own judgment, their own discrimination, and their own disciplines. And I'll tell you, many children are capable of doing that. Yes, there are all children are not alike. Some require a certain discipline, and lovingly we should create that discipline. Such children will even break that discipline, but you must find methods of seeing that that discipline is followed. And you must have realistic moderation in technology. Today a lot is happening on the gadget. Of course, people then get distracted and use it for games or on other social platforms rather than work. This happens even in the work field. What to say? I'm sure many of you in your office, instead of doing work, generally are distracted by these things. So how do you expect the children who don't even enjoy sometimes studies will not be doing that? So create a discipline, create a certain value, create an atmosphere in the house where they will enjoy being with you in your presence physically, rather than only on the gadget and texting. These rules you can make, that if you want to speak to me, do not text me. Come and speak to me. If you want to call me, come and call me. Do not text me or do not call me by phone. In fact, all of us are doing from one room to another. Calls are free today. No? So that in the family, that human interaction happen, naturally the dependence on the phone, the smartphones with technology will become less when there is more personal contact. Now during these pandemic times also, what can you do? Everything is online. Parents are beginning to control screen time, even for good things, because naturally it affects their view, it affects their mind also, not just the substance, but even the radiation, the light, the flashes of light. All these things affect the child's mind. So when parents understand And the children are made to understand certain disciplines you create together, certain disciplines you may have to be strict and impose, but do it at the right time, at the right stage of their growth.
I guess, Swamiji, balance is an important thing here. So, here's the next one. Each one of us was brought up by our parents in the style that they knew best. But we want to do things very differently. How do we ensure that we don't do the things we didn't appreciate about our parents?
This is a very important thing that we must realize, and maybe in another session I will be elaborating it also. But there's a simple formula given in our Upanishads where even the Guru says that follow what has been taught well through precedence. If you have seen anything good in us, you follow that. If you feel, even if it was not something wrong in the parent, but if you felt it was wrong in the parent, don't repeat it. But there's a very unique psychology at play here. Whatever you do not accept in your parents and you revolt against your parents or blame your parents for it, subconsciously you will be shocked that you are doing the same with your children. That revelation can be very shocking and very painful. You would be doing the same. You would think that if someone had a domineering parent, would not become a domineering parent, understanding that what it did to them. But the subconscious mind knows no better way of parenting, will continue to do that. Therefore, very important it is that what you saw wrong in your parents, don't repeat it. And at the same time, subconsciously you might be doing it. Learn to accept, and even if need be, don't blame your parents because they did that to the best of their understanding at that time. Even if they did something wrong, just like sometimes you do wrong, learn to forgive them. And if you let go of it, you will be amazed. And I have done this, explained this to many, many parents. And even overnight, you stop repeating that pattern. In fact, one of the very powerful exercises that I do in Make It Happen, and which is very relevant with parenting, is on this aspect. It is not just that we carry on the genetic code, but we carry on the mistakes over generations. So we must learn to break that pattern. And in this session, very briefly, I just tell you, there'll be other sessions where this will come out more elaborately, that whatever you thought your parents did wrong with you or in your upbringing went wrong, don't hold on the blame to your parents. Let go of it and be aware that you are not repeating the same pattern with your children or any other relatives, your daughter-in-laws or son-in-laws. You will find that the pattern repeats itself.
Oh my God, that is something that's brought so much relief just knowing this from you, Swamiji. So, how do I maintain a sense of calm in a very, very edgy world? For the kids who are housebound, they are patient, resilient, yet unsure of the social discomforts emotional roller coaster their parents are going through during this pandemic?
I think the children are born for these times. In fact, they seem to be coping in many places, in many homes, better than the parents who are not used to something like this in their growing stages. Children adapt very quickly. Of course, they are restless, they can't go outside, they can't play with their friends outside, which of course, nothing compensates for that. And they have hope. In fact, they are daring. They want to take chances, go back to school, etc. So they will find their own balance. But at the same time, during this pandemic, when they are at home, and as most parents said, that they get in, children and parents get to each other's nerves, just be neurologically strong and find ways of entertaining your children, keeping them happy, keeping yourself calm, keeping them calm, keeping them occupied, and realize that a lot of things the previous generations used to do at home only, not go out, including education. They always remained in the family and they found. So different setups at different places of time, we find our own balance, we find our own way to be happy, we find our own way to cope with it. And let me just say that many of us have faced this. Children, of course, face many things for the first time. But many of us in our lifetime has faced something like this for the first time. And I cannot say that we've coped badly with it. In fact, the earlier days, people actually managed to, reflect, be with the family, enjoy the family, do things which they never did at home, and avoid unnecessarily polluting the world with unnecessary flights and unnecessary driving and unnecessarily wastage in restaurants and parties, etc. We found it. But then we get bored. And then what we say, we are back to being not normal, abnormal. We're back to the same thing. So all those reflections and all are gone, and people are going haywire. The skies are polluted again as it was before the pandemic. So the thing is that we can cope up. We have to just put our heart in the right place, and being human beings, we are the most adaptable creatures. So we adapt, and we teach our children to adapt to the situations.
Swamiji, going through all these parenting queries and questions, and I'm sure all the other parents who are watching this will feel relaxed, happy, and know that there's a way of connecting their kids to spirituality and raising spiritual kids in such an easy way. Thank you so much for the tips that you've shared with us. It has indeed been a great conversation that I've had with you, and I'm so grateful and so delighted that I could get all this lovely information and knowledge right from you. Thank you so much, and I'm eternally grateful.
Hari Om.
Krishna, we don't, Krishna loves you, don't you know?
Laughing Krishna takes away your fears, like a best friend whispering in your ears.
We just have to do good things for good things to happen to us.
Our power should be used to help and serve people, not to hurt them.
But remember, Krishna knows everything.
We never have to worry about anything when Krishna is with us.
The Guru doesn't really punish us because his love is so great. He only makes us do what will make us better, stronger, and wiser.
The more we love, the more we want to help. The more we love, the more we want to give. The more we love, the more we know what to do. Happiness is always there, more than anything else. All the other feelings come to cover up happiness, but happiness never goes away. It's still there and still very strong. This is important, very, very important. So don't forget it. Mada is knowledge. My mama teaches me. Things make us hungry, but love makes us full. Choose to be happy. Nothing can take happiness away from you. If you choose to always be happy and never be sad, just choose to be happy and do not be sad.